Imagine a place built for joy, laughter, and family memories. But now, it stands silent, rides frozen in time, gates sealed shut, yet whispers say the park is not empty. People in town swear the Ferris wheel still turns at night, with shadows sitting inside every cart. And the question that chills everyone is this: if the rides are dead, why do they keep moving? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a journey into one of the most terrifying abandoned theme parks in the United States. And if you want to keep discovering haunting mysteries like this one, don't forget to subscribe now and drop your thoughts in the comments. Because tonight, we're unlocking secrets that were never meant to be told. The rides still stand, but no one dares to ride them. Rust creaks in the wind, the Ferris wheel groaning like it remembers every scream it ever held. It was once a place of laughter, families lining up for cotton candy, kids begging for just one more ride, music blasting from colorful speakers. Now it's silent, except for the whistle of wind through broken glass and the echo of memories that feel too loud to be gone. People in town say they can still hear the carousel at night, faint organ music drifting through the trees, even though the power was cut off decades ago. Some claim they've seen the lights flicker on the roller coaster, bulbs glowing in the darkness before vanishing when anyone gets too close. No one admits it out loud, but everyone knows, something stayed behind when the gates were locked for the last time. There's an old ticket booth by the entrance, glass cracked, wooden frame rotting. The faded sign still reads "Welcome to Dreamland," but the paint has peeled so much the word dream looks more like dread. Teenagers dare each other to sneak inside at night, armed with flashlights and shaky voices, swearing they'll last longer than the ones before them. But most don't make it past the midway, where prizes still hang from the rafters, covered in dust and staring with glassy, lifeless eyes. One man in town swears his brother never came back after sneaking in on Halloween night. The police report says he ran off, but the family insists his phone was found on the carousel, screen glowing, camera open, a blurry picture of something standing in the mirrors behind him. No one can explain what the reflection shows, but people who've seen it won't talk about it anymore. And then there's the roller coaster, twisted steel against the sky, towering and broken. Locals say on foggy nights, you can hear the clatter of cars climbing the first hill, the metallic rattle of chains pulling them higher. But when the sound stops, there's never a scream, only silence that feels too heavy to ignore. They say the park was shut down because of money, because of safety issues, because times changed and people stopped coming. But the ones who work there, the janitors, the ride operators, the food vendors, they whisper something else. They say the park didn't close because it was empty. It closed because it was full of something no one wanted to face. And the question no one can shake is this: if the rides are dead, why do they keep moving at night? Some nights, headlights from the nearby highway catch the edge of the Ferris wheel, and drivers swear it's turning. Not fast, not like it did when kids laughed inside the carriages. Just a slow, unnatural spin, as if something unseen is taking its time with every rotation. The police say it's the wind, but people who live closest to the park know better. They've seen shadows sitting in the carts, swinging their legs, waiting for the ride to end. There's a diner down the road, the kind with neon lights buzzing all night, where truckers stop for coffee before long hauls. If you ask the waitress about the park, she'll shake her head and pour another cup, saying some things are better left unsaid. But once in a while, if she trusts you, she'll tell you about the night she was closing up. She swears she saw kids in costumes running past the windows, laughing, holding balloons. Except it wasn't Halloween, and when she opened the door to yell after them, the parking lot was empty. Every town has legends. But here, the legend breathes. Parents warn their children not to go near the gates, not even in daylight. The stories say the gates aren't locked to keep people out. They're locked to keep something in. And still, every year, someone decides to test it. A thrill seeker, a ghost hunter, a group of friends with nothing better to do. They go in with cameras and flashlights, daring the silence to answer them. Most of the time, they come back shaken but alive. But not always. Last summer, 3 college students disappeared inside. Their car was found in the lot, doors unlocked, keys still in the ignition. The only trace left was a phone on the ground by the tilt-a-whirl, its final recording filled with laughter that wasn't theirs. Laughter that didn't stop, even after the video went black. And now, the people in town whisper something new. That the park isn't abandoned at all. That it's still open, just not for the living. The sheriff's office won't admit it, but the locals know he won't send deputies inside anymore. Not after what happened the last time. 2 officers went in with body cams, their radios cutting in and out as they moved past the arcade, past the bumper cars, deeper into the dark. One of them swore he heard children singing, faint and off-key, like a lullaby played too slow. Then there was screaming, loud, sharp, echoing through the headset. And silence. When backup arrived, the officers were found at the entrance gate. Alive. But neither of them could speak. Their mouths moved, their eyes wide, but no sound came out. To this day, they've never spoken another word. The mayor ordered the park fenced off, the gates welded shut. But people still find ways in. They spray paint warnings on the walls, carve their names into the ticket booth, dare the darkness to touch them. The strange thing is, those names, those warnings, they never last. By the next night, the walls are clean again, as if the park refuses to remember who came. And still the question lingers like smoke in the air. Why does the park erase the living, yet hold on so tightly to the dead? Locals whisper that the park chooses who it keeps. That some people walk out untouched, while others simply vanish between one step and the next. No sound, no trace, no goodbye, just gone. And if you listen closely by the gates on a quiet night, you can hear them calling. Voices you almost recognize. A brother, a friend, someone who shouldn't be there at all, begging you to come inside. Truckers on the night shift say the air change is near the exit ramp. Their radios pick up faint static, like an old carnival broadcast, faint organ music breaking through the noise. One driver swears he heard an announcement. Step right up, the show's about to begin. But when he looked in his rearview mirror, the highway was empty. There's talk of tearing the place down, leveling it to the ground, building something new over the ruins. But every crew that's tried has walked away. Bulldozers won't start, chainsaws jam without reason, workers quit after a single day claiming the rides were watching them. One foreman disappeared inside the funhouse, his flashlight beam caught in the mirrors, bouncing and multiplying until it looked like 100 lights flashing at once. When they finally went in after him, the mirrors were cracked, but the funhouse was empty. And yet, at night, people say you can still see that same flashlight beam flickering from the windows, moving from room to room, as if he never left. Some swear the funhouse is the heart of it all. That the mirrors don't just show your reflection, they show what you're trying to hide. Locals tell of a man who walked in alone and staggered out minutes later, his hair gone white, his hands shaking so badly he couldn't hold his car keys. He never spoke about what he saw, only muttered one sentence over and over again. It knew my name before I said it. Teenagers who break and dare each other to look into the cracked glass. Some claim they see their own faces, older, broken, even lifeless, staring back at them with hollow eyes. Others say they see strangers, people who don't exist, pressing against the other side of the mirror as if begging to trade places. And once in a while, someone swears their reflection didn't move when they did. The sheriff tried to shut the stories down, telling people it was just rumors, just a way to keep kids away. But then his own daughter went missing. Her car was found near the carousel, door wide open, music still playing on the radio. The only thing left behind was her jacket, neatly folded on the ticket booth counter, like someone had been waiting for her. Now the town avoids the road past the park after dark. Windows roll up, radios turn low, no one dares to look toward the gates. But sometimes, even with their eyes fixed on the road, drivers swear they feel it. The pull of the midway lights flickering back to life. The sound of laughter spilling into the night. And the sense that if they looked, just once, they'd see the rides running, full of faces that should not be there. One trucker swore he looked. Just a glance, no more than a second, but it was enough. He said the Ferris wheel was alive with glowing cars, silhouettes swaying inside each one. They weren't moving, not waving, not laughing, just sitting still, their heads slowly turning in unison toward him as he passed. He drove the rest of the way without stopping, hands gripping the wheels so tight they bled. The next morning, he quit the job and left town, never to come back. And still the whispers spread. That the park doesn't want to be forgotten. That every year it finds new ways to remind people it's still here, waiting. Families driving by with kids in the back seat say their children point out the window, giggling and saying, asterisk look, the clowns are waving. Asterisk. But when the parents look, there's nothing but rust and shadow. Some of the oldest residents say it was never really a theme park at all. That it was built on something else, something buried long before the first ride went up. The blueprints, the company records, the investor names, none of it exists anymore. As if the park appeared out of nowhere, ran its course, and then refused to die. And now people wonder if it's spreading. Streetlights near the exit flicker more often. The diner sign buzzes with strange patterns at night, like Morse code tapping out a warning no one can translate. A boy riding his bike past the fence swore he saw balloons tied to the chain link, bright and new, bobbing in the wind. When he blinked, they were gone. But his handlebars were sticky with something sweet. And the faint smell of cotton candy followed him all the way home. The boy's mother tried to wash the stickiness from his hands, but the scent wouldn't leave. No matter how much soap, how hot the water, it clung to his skin like it belonged there. That night, he woke up crying, saying someone was whispering to him from the window. When she rushed in, the glass was fogged from the inside, and across it was traced a single word, written by a finger that shouldn't have been there. Play. The next day, she boarded up every window in the house. But the whispers didn't stop. They just moved inside. The townspeople started noticing small things out of place. Rusty tickets turning up in their mailboxes, though no one delivered them. Old popcorn bags showing up on porches, the kernels inside still warm. One man found a ride token on his pillow when he woke, stamped with the park's logo. Except the park had never used tokens. It's as if the boundaries are shifting. What was once trapped behind the fence is pushing outward, reaching for the living like vines breaking through concrete. And each time it reaches, it takes a little more. At night, some say the whole town feels different. Street lamps cast carnival-colored glows, red, blue, green, even though the bulbs are plain white. The sound of calliope music drifts faintly down Main Street, so soft you almost mistake it for the wind. But the closer you listen, the clearer it becomes. A voice layered beneath the music, repeating the same phrase over and over. Tickets, please, tickets, please. An old man who once worked the ticket booth says he hears that voice most of all. He swears it's the same tone he used decades ago, the same pitch, the same rhythm. Only it isn't him saying it. Sometimes, when he closes his eyes, he can feel the roll of tickets in his palm again, the click of the turnstile under his hand. But when he opens them, his hands are empty, and the sound of the turnstile keeps going. The town tried to hold a meeting, to finally decide what to do. But when they gathered in the church basement, the lights flickered out. Candles were lit, voices trembling as neighbors argued, but then someone noticed the walls. Bright posters, clean and crisp, had appeared where the bulletin boards used to be. Not church announcements. Carnival ads. Dreamland reopens this summer. The faces on the posters were too sharp, too real, eyes glistening like they could blink at any second. Half the crowd left without speaking. The other half stayed silent, staring at the posters until the candles burned low. By morning, every poster was gone. No paper scraps, no tacks in the wall, no trace they were ever there. But the smell of popcorn lingered in the basement for weeks. Now, parents keep their children indoors after dusk. The diner closes early. And the mayor refuses to drive down the highway at night. But even locked inside, with blinds drawn and radios turned up, the people can still hear it. The faint rattle of chains pulling a roller coaster car uphill. Followed by a silence so heavy it feels like the whole town is holding its breath. And then, just when that silence becomes unbearable, it happens. The rush of air, the thunder of the drop, the sound of screams that don't belong to anyone living. The windows rattle in their frames, dogs hide under tables, and every clock in town seems to skip the same second. By the time it passes, the air tastes like iron and sugar, sharp and sweet all at once, leaving throats dry and stomachs uneasy. One woman recorded it on her phone, swearing she'd prove it was real. When she played the clip back, there was no roller coaster, no screams, only her own voice breathing heavily into the speaker. But beneath her breath was something else. A chorus of whispers, layered and overlapping, all repeating her name. She smashed the phone to pieces and left town the same night. But the park doesn't care if people leave. Because it knows they always talk. And the more they talk, the stronger it seems to get. Recently, children at the elementary school started drawing pictures during art class. At first it was Ferris wheels, balloons, bright colors, things kids might normally imagine. But then the drawings changed. Red smudges dripping down roller coasters. Faces with hollow eyes riding bumper cars. And one drawing that showed the entire class lined up outside the gates, waiting to get in. Every child swore they didn't draw it. The teacher locked that picture away in her desk. But the next morning, it wasn't there. Instead, it was taped to the classroom door. As if someone wanted everyone to see it. The principal ordered the picture burned, hoping to end the hysteria. They lit it behind the school, the flames curling the paper into black and ash. But when the smoke cleared, the drawing wasn't gone at all. It lay on the ground, untouched, colors brighter than before. And now, new faces had appeared at the gates, faces of teachers, parents, even the principal himself. That night, the bells from the carousel rang out across town. No music, no organ, just the dull clang of brass like a warning no one could ignore. People covered their ears, locked their doors, tried to pray it away. But still the bells rang, steady and deliberate. Until the whole town was awake and listening. When the sound finally stopped, the mayor drove to the park at first light, demanding to see for himself. He never came back. His car was found outside the diner, keys still in the ignition, coffee cup in the holder. The waitress swears she saw him through the glass, sitting at his usual booth. But when she went to take his order, the booth was empty. And yet, the seat was warm. The townspeople don't argue about it anymore. They don't hold meetings, they don't make plans. They've accepted something they can't explain. That the park is no longer just outside the fence. It's here, among them, step by step, face by face. And late at night, when the wind carries the faint rattle of rides, they all know it's only a matter of time before the gates open again. And this time, no one will need a ticket to get in. The first sign came with the lights. Not in the park, but in town itself. Street lamps began flickering in carnival colors, reds, greens, purples, dancing against the sidewalks like shadows of rides that weren't there. One by one, houses reported bulbs bursting in their porches, showering glass like confetti, leaving behind a faint smell of burnt sugar. Then came the laughter. It started with children. At first, parents thought their kids were giggling in their rooms late at night, whispering to one another past bedtime. But when they opened the doors, the children were asleep, faces slack, their lips moving soundlessly, like they were dreaming of something just beyond reach. Neighbors heard it too, laughter weaving through the streets, overlapping voices that belonged to no one in town. High, shrill, and endless. The pastor tried to rally the people, calling for prayer in the church at midnight. A crowd gathered, desperate for answers. But as the candles were lit, the organ in the corner, silent for years, came alive on its own. Notes bending, twisting, until the hymn became the warped melody of a carousel. The congregation fled into the night, leaving the candles to burn themselves down. By morning, the pews were coated in ash. And the words "open soon" were carved deep into the altar. That same day, trucks roared down the highway, carrying workers who had never been hired. They set up ladders, strung new bulbs, patched broken rails. No one asked who they were. No one dared to speak to them. By dusk, the park glowed with fresh neon, rides gleaming as if no time had passed. And from every house in town, people could see it. The Ferris wheel spinning slowly against the horizon. Each carriage filled. Each seat occupied. By the third night, no one in town could sleep. The glow from the park spilled across the horizon, too bright, too alive, painting the sky with shifting colors that pulsed like a heartbeat. Families huddled in their living rooms, blinds drawn tight, pretending not to hear the faint carnival music drifting through their walls. But the music wasn't outside anymore. It was inside, echoing through the floors, vibrating in their chests, syncing with the rhythm of their own hearts. And then, just before dawn, the lights went out. The ride stopped. The town fell silent. For a brief moment, people believed it was over. That maybe the nightmare had finally burned itself out. But when the sun rose, the streets were empty. Every house unlocked, every car left in driveways, every meal half-eaten on the table. The whole town, gone. Only the park remained. Its gates wide open, welcoming, the words on the archway shining brighter than ever. Dreamland awaits. And if you drive down that stretch of highway today, you might think it's nothing more than an old, abandoned park, rusted and still. But if you keep your eyes on the road too long, you'll see the lights flicker back to life. Hear the laughter spill out across the fields. And notice the rides are full. Carriages turning, bumper cars colliding, roller coasters climbing higher and higher. And if you look close enough, past the blur of motion and the carnival glow, you'll recognize the faces inside. They'll be watching you, waiting. Smiling like they've been there forever. And maybe they have.